These are the true stories of the innocent and the unimaginable. When the Johnsons moved to a small town in New England, they disturbed the peace of a dormant presence. Lost souls inflict fear upon the living, shatter crashing waves. With the help of a team of witches, an embattled family fights the unknown to take back their home and their sanity. Between the world we see and the things we fear, there are doors. When they are opened, nightmares become reality. Nestled between the majestic green mountains and the fertile river valleys of southern Vermont lies the town of Chester, the birthplace of thousands of young soldiers whose lives were tragically cut short in the Civil War. Today, local legends chronicle centuries-old accounts of untimely deaths. And every now and then, the agonizing cries of these young souls can still be heard, echoing from beyond the grave. The year is 2005.
Look at that place. That is a beaut.
Are you serious?
Libby and Sean Johnson, along with their two daughters, 7-year-old Grace and 5-year-old Willa, search for the perfect home.
Now, this place is a classic.
Having moved from Fort Lauderdale, Florida nearly a year ago, they believe that Chester, Vermont is a town of promise.
We could restore it.
We really liked the pace of life here in New England. And we thought living in a small rural town would be a nice place to raise our children.
What do you think? Well, he needs a little imagination. I mean, this place could be great.
The Johnsons have been living in a small 2-bedroom apartment for over a year while looking for a place of their own.
Hi, this is Sean Johnson. I'm over at the house on School Street. Yeah, I was wondering if we could see it today.
The house needed probably $200,000 worth of general construction to get it to be livable. Sean was the eternal optimist and was so excited.
It's got great bones.
What?
The house, it's solid as a rock.
I, on the other hand, was thinking, I could never live in this house. It needs so much work.
I don't know about this, Sean. This place.
She wanted a finished product. She didn't want to live through construction.
Libby, we can do this.
Sean, who runs a car dealership from home, offers to oversee the renovations.
I could look after the girls, too.
Libby figures she can use this opportunity to go back to work, something she's always wanted to do.
Look, I can...
So we thought we'd give it a shot.
Okay.
Over the next few months, Sean continues to assist with the construction and manage his business from the apartment, while Libby takes a job as a secretary at the local elementary school. Finally, after 10 months of construction, the renovations are nearly complete.
Hey, Freddie, how's it going?
One afternoon, Libby checks on the workers during her lunch hour.
That's okay. I just wanted to see how you guys were doing.
Great, moving on.
Oh! This is incredible.
She discovers dozens of old family photographs, letters and documents dating back to the Civil War.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna find once you start tearing down these old walls.
I want to keep these. Could you hand me a... Let me know if you find any more of these, okay?
Sure, no problem.
I was very excited to find those documents, just to learn a little bit more about history and the people that lived here. It's just interesting to think about how people lived in New England with no hospitals and grocery stores and ATMs and cars.
In March of 2006, the Johnsons finally move into their new home. The renovations are not completely finished, but Sean and Libby can wait no longer.
All right, get it while it's hot.
My husband and I were so excited to be moving into the house. It had been a year of blood, sweat, tears, and lots of money trying to renovate this house.
And for you.
The kids, on the other hand, were not as excited.
I don't like it here. It's big and scary.
You're gonna love this house.
Okay, kiddo?
Okay.
After an exhausting move, the family settles in for the night. The girls sleep with their parents while the floors in their room are refinished.
It's all right, honey. Just wake up. It's okay. It's okay, honey. Wake up. It's just a dream.
Grace, wake up.
It's okay. It's all right.
There was someone coming after me.
She saw a person come into the room with strange-looking eyes and was coming toward her.
Oh, it's just a dream, Gracie. Hey, you want to sleep in our bed tonight? Come on.
I just thought it was, her nerves from being in a new place. She just was scared.
What was that? Did you...
I thought I heard the door shut.
I heard a door slam. And then I heard another door slam. My ears are hearing the door slam, but I'm not seeing any door slamming, and I can't figure it out. It didn't make sense to me to run around the house and test all the doors and this and that because I knew it wasn't that. But you don't know what to do.
I didn't see anything.
I don't get it.
It must have been the wind.
Sean downplays the incident because he doesn't want to worry Libby any further.
Great. Don't you think it's weird the girls never woke up?
The next morning,
Morning, ladies. How are you? I'm telling you, Sean, it's not normal.
Well, I didn't say normal. I'm saying that there must be a logical explanation.
How can there be a logical explanation for something that's completely not logical?
So what are you saying? We have ghosts?
I have never been a believer in the supernatural ghosts, anything like that.
You're saying whether we have a haunted house?
I'm very scientific. I don't have faith in a lot of things that I can't feel and touch.
What if it is haunted? We can get our money back.
Yeah, right.
All right, girls, let's go.
Mommy's gotta go to work. I love you. Come on.
Have a nice day.
Let's go.
All right, y'all. Have fun.
the following week, the girls' room is finally complete.
Okay. Who wants a story?
Oh, I do. Me, I do. I want to do a puzzle. I hate puzzles.
Listen, Willow, we'll read a story tonight, okay? And then tomorrow night you can do a puzzle with Daddy, okay? Okay. This is called The Lonely Fairy. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a lonely little fairy who lived in an enchanted
I heard little girls laughing and giggling. And as soon as I opened up our bedroom door, the voices stopped. Well, I must have left the TV set on. And then everything was quiet. I thought, well, maybe I was just dreaming that.
The following morning,
Grace, Willa, come on, girls. You're gonna be late for school.
Hey, what's this?
I don't know.
Okay, come on, zip up, get downstairs. Daddy's got breakfast waiting, okay? Go on.
Love you.
Scoot, love you too. Hey, sleepyhead. Rise and shine. Hey. Hey. Hey, what's this puzzle doing over here? I thought you hated puzzles.
The fairies wanted to do it.
What?
There were two fairies here. We played all night.
Well, that sounds like a wonderful dream.
It wasn't a dream.
Okay. Well, what did these fairies look like?
They had white dresses, white stockings, and they had ribbons in their hair, too.
Where do these fairies live?
They live under a tree in their yard.
Well, that sounds wonderful, honey.
Libby is puzzled.
Why don't you go, brush your teeth, and wash up, get dressed, okay?
She can't remember Grace's dreams ever being so vivid, and knows it's unlike her daughter to make up stories.
Part of me really wanted to believe that she just had a very overactive imagination.
Over the next few days, neither Libby nor Grace mentioned the fairies. Things seemed to quiet down around the house. Then, one night,
Why are you making a fire?
Because it's chilly.
No! No, put it out!
Grace, what's wrong? There's nothing to be afraid of. Grace, calm down, sweetie. What is
She was terrified that we'd burn the house down.
in the fireplace all the time?
Grace's sudden fear of fire worries Libby.
Come on, honey, let's go
She
upstairs and
wonders
go to
what's
bed, okay?
behind her change in
Come on, I'll walk with you.
behavior.
It's okay. I'll sit up there with you for a little while.
In the days that follow, Libby manages to forget about these strange incidents and settles into a normal routine.
Grace, Will, are you in here?
I could hear young children giggling. It made me feel really uncomfortable. I didn't really know what to think.
Grace, Willa? Are you guys up here? Were you girls just upstairs?
Nope, we were right here.
Grace, what is this? What is this a picture of?
It's our house, and that's the fire.
Grace had drawn our house on fire. This was very alarming to me.
Grace, honey. Why would you draw a picture like this?
I'm afraid you and Daddy are gonna die in a fire.
No, honey. Mommy and Daddy aren't gonna die in a fire.
The fairies' Mommy and Daddy died in a fire.
Grace, honey, that was just a dream. The fairies aren't real.
But it wasn't a dream, they're real!
It was interesting to me that she was so adamant that it wasn't a dream. I'm beginning to wonder maybe if there's something coming into play that isn't
But we're not
natural.
gonna die, okay?
We've had too many things happen in the house to just write them off as random events.
Libby is beginning to believe that her house may be haunted. She hopes that history can shed some light on what has been happening.
Hey, what are you doing up here? What's that?
Stuff the workers found when they were up here renovating.
I decided to try and figure out, you know, if these two fairies that Grace is talking about happen to be little girls that used to live here, if there was a fire in the house at some point.
I'm sure you're overthinking this whole thing.
There were many moments when Sean tried to talk me out of believing that something paranormal was happening. We both really wanted it to be something natural.
But whatever it is, I think we should keep the whole thing quiet.
Being the new people in town, I was concerned about airing too much.
Look, I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm starting to think I'm going crazy.
Okay, look, I'm gonna take the girls for a walk. Do you wanna come?
No, you go ahead. I've got some errands to run.
Okay.
Libby takes the old photographs and documents to the Chester Historical Society.
Now, it says here that that old house was used as a barracks during the Civil War.
I was actually wondering if there was any record of any fire.
Unfortunately, Libby doesn't receive the answer she's looking for.
On the property?
The director finds no evidence of a fire on her property.
I've seen any evidence of a fire. Yes,
What about these photographs? Do any of these people look familiar to you?
I don't know. Let me take a look. Yeah. Oh, look at that. There seems to be something stuck here, isn't it? Well, let's see. Oh.
He tells Libby that this is an early 20th century photograph of Chester's Civil War veterans.
Like a picture of the 50th anniversary of the Gettysburg Battle.
Who are the girls?
Well, I don't know, but they certainly don't seem to belong there.
It's strange because these girls match to a T a description of the fairies that Grace kept talking about that would go into her bedroom.
You know, it sort of looks to me as though that they just dropped in there. Somebody put them there with no rhyme or reason.
Libby wonders if these are the same two girls that visit Grace at night. Libby remains calm for her family.
Will you give me a kiss goodnight?
Yes, come here. Mwah. Go on. Hey, honey, can I show you something for a second? Just pop over there. I want you to do something for me, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you this picture, and I want you to tell me if you see anybody in it that you recognize.
The fairies!
I was not surprised that Grace said that. I just knew that those little girls who were in the photograph had something to do with the house.
Hey, Grace, come on, why don't you go upstairs and get ready for bed, huh? I'll be right up in a minute. There is an explanation. She's just a child.
Well, you heard the girls giggling in the middle of the night.
That was a dream.
Sean cannot come to terms with the fact that the house could be haunted.
I couldn't explain it, so therefore I was a little conflicted on what it could be. All these things were happening that were pointing to something other than normal.
She's been playing Ring Around the Rosie with two little fairies who happen to look exactly like the little girls in this picture. I never taught her that song.
Maybe she picked it up at school.
No, I talked to her teacher. She said they never sing it there. I mean, did you know that that song is about the plague? It's a song about death, Sean. She is obsessed with death. Ashes to ashes, we all fall down.
What do you want to do? Move?
No, of course not.
We've put more money into the house than it even cost to buy.
I'm sorry.
So it just wasn't an option to sell the house.
I just don't know what to do.
Grace wasn't afraid It wasn't so scary at that point that I felt that we were in danger.
Sean, when you heard the door slamming, did it wake you up?
Libby begins a record of her experiences.
When you heard the door slamming, were you awake or did it wake you up?
I don't know.
Sean.
I was asleep. It woke me up.
Okay, well, what about when you heard the girls giggling?
I wrote down the time, the weather, what was going on in our family, if anyone was sick, if there was any kind of unusual tension or stress. I really wanted to make it as scientific as possible.
Sean!
Jeez, Libby, come on. Can I just watch the game? Did you leave the window open upstairs?
No, I did not.
I felt like I was being watched and like there was a presence in the room. It moved as fast as I've ever seen anything move.
You know it as well as I do, and you're gonna have to face it. I saw something, a black figure. I was at the window and I felt something behind me and I turned around and I saw this black thing standing in front of me. It darted under the bed, but it was right there. I saw it. It's real.
Libby no longer believes the ghosts are harmless and searches the internet for a way to remove the spirits.
When I just thought, you know, why is this happening? Should we really believe in this?
She learns she can remove the spirits by smudging the house with sage. Smudging is a Native American ritual where sage is burned to cleanse a space of negative energy.
It sounded a little far out, but at this point I was feeling really like, well, what can it hurt? It's gotta help.
That day, Libby finds a local store that sells sage.
Excuse me.
May I help you?
I was actually wondering if you have any sage.
I was a little bit embarrassed by the whole sage smudging idea. It's just not something I would normally try.
Okay, did you want a bag or did you want smudge sticks?
Smudge sticks. 2, actually.
They're gonna be $5 a piece.
That afternoon, Sean keeps the girls occupied so Libby can perform the smudging.
Don't stay on the sidewalk, all right? Don't get too far ahead of me. You sure you want me to stay with you?
No, I'll be all right. You go ahead, okay?
All right. All right. Hey! Come on, girls.
We mean you no harm. Please leave this house in peace.
I walked around the house with burning sage and said a little wish in every single room.
Please leave this house in peace.
After the smudging, things returned to normal for several weeks. Libby is relieved that the spirits have finally left. Then one night, Grace suddenly falls ill.
What's up, kiddo?
She doesn't feel so hot.
Oh, what's the matter?
She has an upset stomach.
Oh.
Do you want to sleep with Mommy tonight, sweetheart?
I decided to have her sleep in my bedroom with me.
Me too. I'm gonna sleep in your bed too.
All right, all right. I guess I'm sleeping in Grace's bed tonight. Good night.
I want to sit next to Mom. No, I want to sit next to Mom.
Okay, I'll get in the middle. Both of
Good
you.
night, Dad.
Good night. Good night, Willa. Good night, Grace.
Where is she? She's here. Where's Grace?
The sheets got really tight, like they were holding me down.
Who are you?
Where's Grace?
She's not here. She's sick.
I tried to get up, and I couldn't move.
Get away! Get away! Leave us alone! Please! Please leave us alone! Get away! Get away! Leave us alone! Get away! Please!
Sean, I heard you shouting. Are you all right?
There's something in this house.
Sean was finally starting to come around and not be completely in denial that something was happening.
The next day,
Don't you think it's time we brought in some professional help?
Like paranormal investigators? I don't know. I don't think I want to be any part of that.
At first, I resisted that because I just didn't want our laundry aired. I thought Libby and I could handle it internally.
Do we really have any choice?
Fine. Let them come.
I think they're here.
Libby contacts ISIS Investigations, a team that specializes in helping people who are experiencing paranormal activity.
God, I hope we're doing the right thing.
What you looking at?
Okay. Hey, who wants to get some ice cream?
I know.
Okay, come on. Leave that. You're doing good. We'll come back to it.
As a safety precaution, Sean takes the girls out of the house during the investigation. The members of the ISIS team are all followers of Wicca, a new religion of life and nature which finds its roots in ancient ways. Patricia Gardner is the co-founder and director of the group.
Wiccan is another word for witchcraft. Everything that we do is geared to the protection of the earth and the creatures that live on it.
Hello. You must be Libby. I'm Patricia.
Thank you so much for coming.
Along with Angela Kaufman, co-director Dana Winters, and Justin Staley, each member is a gifted psychic.
What are they doing?
It looks like they've sensed something.
It was a little startling to me that the first thing they did was to head over to this tree that I had never even mentioned before.
Angela feels a peculiar sensation coming from the tree.
I noticed a very strong, abnormally warm feeling coming from it, and it seemed to be a center of activity.
This is very sad. Something terrible happened here.
Yes. I can feel it.
The energies around the tree were very chaotic. We all felt that there was something very strange under or around the tree.
Let's go inside. I'll explain everything. Who are you?
While Libby shows the team the hotspots in the house, Justin tries to capture evidence of paranormal activity.
Stay away. No closer.
Angela, a psychic sketch artist, uses art to recreate images in her mind's eye.
What I'm trying to do is to use myself as an instrument to mirror what's going on in the room. There was a lot of spiritual activity going on in the house. I did get a couple of specific impressions. One being this figure in a Civil War uniform.
The final sketch is uncanny. It's the perfect illustration of the two girls from the photograph found in the attic.
I got the sense that two little girls' spirits were kind of mischievous. They were just looking for someone to communicate with.
Angela feels the impact of several spirits.
The left part of my head started to hurt. My first thought was that something is present in the room and it doesn't like us, and it's trying to make us feel uncomfortable.
This is my daughter's room.
Patricia and Dana immediately pick up on the presence of the two little girls.
We assumed that it was the girls playing with the cat to let us know that they were in the room with us.
That's so odd. That toy's been broken for months.
Libby hopes that Patricia can reveal why the spirits are haunting her house.
These are interesting.
This was the one, though, that held the most interest to me. This is the one I was telling you about, the one with the two little girls.
This is amazing.
Patricia runs her hands over the images on the photograph.
These are the little girls.
As her fingers pass over the two girls, she senses a change in temperature.
The warm feeling I'm sensing. Oh, it means that they're still earthbound.
Who are they? What do they want with my daughter?
Patricia believes the girls once lived in the house and don't know how to cross over. But the presence of a fire remains a mystery.
Negative. There are others. So many others. Did you do a lot of renovations?
Patricia believes that renovations must have awakened the dormant spirits in the house.
We basically started from the bones and rebuilt it.
When you renovate things, even if something has been asleep for 100 years, that's the best way I know of to wake it up. Because they want to know what you're doing to their property. Because in their minds, it still belongs to them.
We need to perform a ceremony, which will help some of the spirits here move on to another plane.
Okay, what do we need to do?
We'll perform what we call a magic circle, and then a crossing ceremony.
The Wiccans begin the crossing over ceremony by casting a magic circle.
A magic circle is what witches use to protect themselves before rituals. It's a protective barrier between us and the rest of the universe.
Candles are lit to absorb negative energy in the house and replace it with positive energy. And incense is burned to prepare the mind and body before the ritual.
If we can now please all join hands so we can start the ceremony. I conjure thee, O circle of power, that thou beest a boundary between the world of men and the realms of the watchtowers, a sacred space of protection, a shield against all evil. I conjure thee, O circle of power, that thou mayest a boundary between the world of men and the realms of the watchtowers, a sacred space of protection, a shield against all evil. Justin, if you will please bless the four corners. Ye gods of the watchtowers of the east.
In Wicca, guardians, known as watchtowers, are called upon to protect the four directions of the circle.
We call upon you to protect the sacred space. Ye gods of the watchtowers of the west, we call upon you to protect the sacred space. Ye lords of the watchtowers of the dead.
During the ritual, incense is offered to the guardians in exchange for their protection.
We can all close our eyes now and
Now
concentrate.
protected by the magic circle, they begin the crossing over ceremony.
We open a doorway so that the spirits can cross over to where they are supposed to be. For some of them, you pick up on their sadness or their fear.
I think they've gone.
Afterwards, a feeling of calm and peace envelops everyone in the room.
Most of them have left.
That's it.
Patricia tells Libby she
We're
believes
done.
that most of the spirits have moved through the open door to the west, to a place called the Summerlands, a Wiccan version of the afterlife. Things have returned to normal for the Johnson family. But they will never forget how their lives were touched by the supernatural.
This whole experience absolutely changed the way I think about things. I do believe in a soul now, which was a huge revelation for me. I think it's really been sort of a gift to our family.
Recently, the Johnsons removed the old tree in the backyard to make room for an addition.
Libby, come here. You might want to take a look at this.
Ooh, truce. What is it?
Looks like there was a fire here.
He found an old brick foundation that had been all burned out.
There's even burnt clothes in the ground.
Black ash, charcoal-covered wooden beams, and burned clothing indicates the presence of a devastating fire long ago.
Grace was right.
There really was a fire.
No human remains were ever found beneath the tree. And whether or not anyone actually died in the fire may remain a mystery forever. A curious teen comes face to face with a mummy.
There's still skin on her face.
And is haunted by an evil beast from an ancient world. For years, it pursues him without mercy.
This thing was coming after me like a creature would stalk prey.
Can he escape from its clutches before it claims his soul?
This entity was more powerful than any one person can handle.
It was hell on earth.
In America, there is real evil. It lurks in the darkest shadows and in our most ordinary towns. Between the worlds we see and the things we fear, there are doors. When they are opened, nightmares become reality. On the north shore of Seneca Lake lies a small, sleepy town. It's the kind of place where families live in the same house for generations.
The community that I grew up in, it was a smaller community. It was a nice place to grow up as a kid because you could ride your bikes up and down our road without fear of traffic, and you had open fields for baseball. We lived in my grandmother's house at the time, my mom's mom.
14-year-old Caleb Weaver lives with his parents, Chris and Susan.
My childhood was pretty typical. I mean, it had its ups and downs, but, you know, it's pretty happy for the most part.
Caleb's mother wishes to remain anonymous due to her occupation.
Caleb had a small group of friends from the time he was little all the way through high school. He was involved in a lot of activities. He was in swim club, and he played trombone in a band.
Morning, Dad.
Hey, son.
Caleb, you better get going. Don't you have a field trip today?
Yeah, it sounds boring.
Boring or not, don't be late.
He was your typical teenager.
Thanks. See you later, Mom.
Have a good day.
I think we were the basic, well-rounded family.
But in the spring of 1997, Caleb's happy life is disrupted. That afternoon, Caleb's class visits a local museum showcasing recently acquired Egyptian artifacts dating back to 2000 BC.
Welcome to the Egyptian Gallery. There are many priceless antiquities here, so please be careful. Follow me this way.
Don't go bumping into things. You're gonna break that vase. Oh.
As soon as we got in there, I just felt oddly drawn to the exhibit and these artifacts, and everything else seemed to just tune itself out. As I'm looking at everything, I felt kind of separated from everyone.
And this is the real treasure of the entire collection. Here lies the mortal remains of an ancient Egyptian, preserved according to custom. In short, a mummy. We believe she was a priestess who served one of Egypt's major deities.
You see how well preserved she is? She's got the fingernails and the bones, the teeth. Yeah, yeah. And her teeth are still intact.
The mummy was rumored to be a priestess who worshipped a volatile and aggressive god, and the deity may still be protecting her in the afterlife.
Here's some artifacts we found in the priestess's tomb.
The unwrapped head of the mummy, it was pretty intense. It was the whole face. The face was intact, everything. Kind of looked like something out of a horror movie.
Suddenly, Caleb is struck by an overwhelming sensation.
Everything blurred. I was just trapped in my own little world. I don't even know if anybody else even realized, what I was experiencing. It got so intense that it was unbearable. As soon as we left that gallery, I just felt a lot of relief. I was just glad to be out of there.
That evening, Caleb still can't shake the unnerving experience.
As soon as I got home, I started to feel that same uneasiness that I felt when we were at this gallery.
So, was it boring?
No. No, actually, there was this mummy, a priestess. There's still skin on her face. And I looked right through her eyes. She didn't have any, but for a second it felt like she was looking right through me. and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe.
He was scared after visiting the mummy exhibit. We attribute it to the fact that this is Caleb. From a very young age, he always had very deep interests in different topics. When he got his mind onto something, it was very hard to get him to think about anything else. So when he first started talking about the mummy, we kind of said to ourselves, okay, this is Caleb's new obsession.
Are you all right, honey?
I'm sure he's fine. You're probably just a little freaked out. You saw a real mummy for the first time. It can be a little scary.
My parents, they kind of blew it off as I saw a dead body, a mummy, you know, that's going to be a little frightening, and that's how they tried to rationalize it.
But Caleb finds little comfort in his parents' reassurances.
I just got the dreadful feeling that I was in harm's way.
In a small town in upstate New York, middle school student Caleb Weaver has an eerie encounter with an ancient Egyptian mummy.
Here's some artifacts we found in the priestess's tomb.
It felt, you know, like something was there kind of looking at me. I felt very singled out.
When Caleb returned that day from the field trip at school, he was very quiet. He did talk about seeing this mummy exhibit, and he didn't like it.
There's still skin on her face, and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe.
That night,
We believe she was a priestess who served one of Egypt's major deities.
the mummy was rumored to be a priestess who worshipped an angry god who may still be guarding her in the afterlife.
I just see these glowing green eyes, and it just lets out this low, guttural growl. And I just remember being absolutely terrified. And I heard the heavy footsteps of this thing as it made its way across my bedroom. And then it was gone.
The next morning, Caleb doesn't know what to think. The nightmare felt so real.
What was going on in your room last night? All that ruckus?
You heard it? You heard the growling?
right after he went to see this mummy exhibit. That's when he started saying he heard things. He thought he could hear something breathing upstairs in his room.
What's going on, Caleb?
It was some sort of animal. A monster. I don't know what it was, but I do know it wanted to hurt me.
I told him everything I saw and experienced.
Caleb, you're probably just upset from seeing that mummy at the museum. You probably heard something, but this house is old. It makes all kinds of strange noises.
My dad, he's dismissing it as, I'm too old to be experiencing, the boogeyman or monsters.
No! No, this was real. Its eyes. They were glowing.
His dad and I chalked it up to his imagination.
Maybe it was just a very bad dream.
Forget it. Knew you wouldn't believe me.
Caleb's always been a very unique individual, and he seems to experience emotions very strongly. We just assumed that if we were patient and let him work his way through it, it would be the end of it.
My parents said it was probably just a nightmare, but when you wake up, you know that distinction. I know it wasn't that.
Caleb finds himself in a constant state of fear, but chooses to suffer in silence.
I did have a few close friends, but I never spoke about any of this. My parents dismissed me, so, are my friends just gonna dismiss it too? I felt very isolated, so I just kept everything to myself. I didn't know I had really any other option at that point other than, just to try to suck it up and deal with it.
Hey, so Caleb, who was that girl you were trying to talk to today?
Yeah, because that girl definitely shut you down.
Seriously? Oh my gosh, she didn't want anything to do with you, man.
Yeah, she kind of annoyed, honestly. Like, next time I wouldn't even talk to her.
All right. I think I'm gonna try.
Hey, go for it.
Go for it, dude. Please, be my guest. All right, well, we gotta go. We're gonna be late for soccer.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you later.
All right, see you later.
See ya.
A couple weeks after this started, I came home from the school bus. I'd left my keys inside, so I was locked out of the house. The only way to get to the inside of the house was to go through the basement. The moment I walked in the basement, I was creeped out by it. I paused for just a moment, and I heard this whispering. And when I turned to look in the corner, I saw the eyes, and I saw it's the head and the scales of this thing.
Here lies the mortal remains of an ancient Egyptian, preserved according to custom. We believe she was a priestess who served one of Egypt's major deities.
Ever since Caleb Weaver encountered an ancient Egyptian mummy on a school field trip in upstate New York, he's been having disturbing nightmares that feel all too real. The mummy is thought to have been a priestess who worshipped an aggressive and animalistic god, and it's now protecting her in the afterlife.
This thing is just constantly just trying to terrorize and torment me. I just tried coping with that sense of dread.
One day, Caleb accidentally locks himself out of his house and is forced to go through the basement.
As soon as I started walking down into this basement, it looked like a crypt where you know you're not supposed to be there. This is somebody else's domain. And when I turned to look in the corner, I saw this presence again. It was crocodile in appearance and partly mutated with a person and just very, very massive and very menacing. And I was absolutely terrified. This thing was coming after me like a creature would stalk prey. I ran out of there as fast as I could. At this point, I knew it was something paranormal. I didn't know what exactly was going on, but I knew that this thing was targeting me, and it was not friendly.
His parents think Caleb has an overactive imagination until his mother notices an alarming change in her son's demeanor.
He did begin to have trouble sleeping. He did become very frustrated.
Caleb? Is everything all right? Do you want to talk?
When I got home, the door was locked and I didn't have my keys on me.
He had been left home alone, and he had gotten very upset about something.
But when I went down the stairs to the basement, there was this monster.
The more Caleb describes this frightening encounter, the more Susan suspects she knows why he senses something in the house.
I think I understand. This house, our family home, a lot of bad things have happened. Like, my father. He was a very angry man.
When I was a child, my father was a very abusive alcoholic. There were many instances of domestic violence. When I moved back into the home as an adult, I would experience a memory, a flashback of a violent episode in the house.
You're worthless. Get out of here!
I thought that the house maybe had some residual energy from experiences when I was young.
But Susan has no idea that her troubled childhood is unrelated to what Caleb is going through.
I didn't see anything for a couple of weeks, but I always felt this thing there. I would avoid being in the house by myself.
Mom? Dad? Hello? I started getting very sick to my stomach.
It was a very overwhelming sensation, like I was just having an anxiety attack.
For more haunting, visit destinationamerica.com. For months, Caleb Weaver has been tormented by a mysterious and horrific monster that resembles an ancient Egyptian god.
All of a sudden, I just felt a searing pain. Felt like someone put my arm in a vice. I didn't think it was gonna let go. My arm felt like it was on fire, and I realized I was bleeding. It was clearly a bite mark.
Caleb keeps the assault a secret from his parents.
I hid it because nobody believed what I was going through. I'm the only one seeing this thing and experiencing what's going on. I felt just helpless.
With nowhere to turn, Caleb spirals into darkness.
It did get worse. He did become more depressed and had what I referred to as an emotional breakdown. We got Caleb counseling because we were very worried about him. After a while, Caleb pulled away from us. He did not share what was going on.
Soon after graduating from high school, Caleb flees his childhood home, hoping to escape the monster that has terrorized him for years.
I moved out of the house for no other reason than just to escape this.
Caleb eventually lands in Glen Burnie, Maryland, hundreds of miles away, where he finds work as a security guard at a local mall.
I started actually having a normal life without being terrorized every night.
And he meets his girlfriend, Laura.
How was your day?
Other than some troublemaking skateboarders, I was all right.
Caleb opened up with me about his childhood. I was very supportive when he told me all of his experiences because I did always believe that there is something else out there.
Laura, she's very open. You can talk to her about anything. She's caring and sweet, and that's what really attracted me to her. That really strengthened our relationship. You know, she's fully accepting of it. You know, there's no doubt in her eyes.
You hungry?
I can eat.
I'm gonna make some dinner. Come on.
In his new life, Caleb forms another important relationship with a co-worker named John.
So how do you like working as a security guard?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah?
It's a great job. Pays the bills, you know?
It does pay the bills.
I started working with a company that he was a supervisor for, and we just became close friends ever since.
There's just one lady that just always gives me trouble. Blue cardigan?
I know who you
Enough
mean.
said?
Oh, enough said. I know exactly who you're talking about. She's interesting.
She's a character. I've been meaning to ask you about those 4 scars on your arm. What happened?
The conversation just kind of got brought up, and he was very vague about it.
Hey, I can't get this flashlight to work. Do you, believe in the paranormal? That creatures can exist that aren't from this world?
Actually, I do. I went through a terrible experience, and for a while, this thing made my life a living hell.
When I was a kid, I went into the woods and came across this old building. In one of the corners was this old book. I picked it up. It was a satanic Bible.
A demon attached itself to John that day. And he was eventually freed by a deliverance minister. John later became his assistant.
Amen. It tortured me for years, and I had no idea what to do until I met this man named Bill Bean, and he delivered me from it.
I was studying under the minister that delivered me to help others in dealing with the supernatural.
What about you?
Yeah. Growing up, I went through a lot of stuff.
Caleb didn't really talk about it much. I didn't want to push it too far, just given what I had went through. You're very reclusive. You don't want to talk to anybody about it for fear of them thinking that you're crazy.
I think we're gonna need some more wood for this fire, huh?
In December 2013, Caleb returns home for the holidays.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
Come here. Good to see you too, Mom.
It was nice to have him home, and I enjoyed seeing him.
Welcome home, son.
Good to see you.
That night, Caleb sleeps in his old bedroom for the first time since he escaped his tormentor years ago.
The name that I kept hearing over and over was Sobek. And as soon as I typed it in, everything clicked. The name came up with this ancient Egyptian deity, took the form of a crocodile, was worshipped by the ancient Egyptians.
Oh my God.
As a protection entity to those that worshipped him.
According to Egyptian lore, the dead enlisted the help of Sobek to protect them as they traveled through the afterlife. Sobek could be guarding the mummy that Caleb encountered on his school field trip so many years ago. And now, Caleb believes Sobek views him as a potential threat.
He took me as a threat and basically targeted me from that point on. This thing that had terrorized me for years, it's no longer a mystery. I knew this thing that I was going up against.
But he has no idea what to do about it. When he was a teenager, Caleb Weaver was tormented by a monster he couldn't identify.
I completely started shutting down. I ended up moving out of the house and I moved out of the state for no other reason than just to escape this.
Years later, while home for the holidays, Caleb reawakens the once dormant beast and learns his name.
This thing was an Egyptian god. I knew what it was now, Sobek.
Oh my God.
It is widely believed that Sobek was a dark god who took the form of a vicious crocodile, protecting the dead in the afterlife.
I felt a weight come right onto me, like I was gonna just fall right through the floor.
A few days later, Caleb returns to the Maryland home he shares with his girlfriend, Laura.
Hi, baby. Welcome home.
Not now.
As soon as he walked in the door, I knew that there was something wrong with him.
Is everything okay? What are you looking for? I can help you.
I don't want your help, Laura.
This anger that he was displaying to that level was not him. It was definitely like looking at a stranger. I started to become afraid all the time because I didn't know what was going to set him off next.
Got the chicken nuggets.
Laura isn't the only one who notices a drastic change in Caleb. John is one of Caleb's best friends.
Look at that weasel. He needs to be taught a lesson.
Before Caleb went up to New York for the holidays, he was a fun-loving person. He came back and there was a lot more hostility in him.
I don't think he's up to anything.
Who cares? Look at him. He needs to know who runs things around here. Hey, dirtbag, get over here. What did I say? Get over here now!
He was going out looking for problems. He wanted to assert his dominancy.
What'd I do? Look, I'm just minding my own business.
All right, that's it. Now I'm gonna kick your sorry ass to the next freaking month!
He wanted to hurt somebody.
John thinks he understands. When he was younger, John himself was tormented by a demon. Now he recognizes the same disturbing signs in his friend Caleb.
It was Caleb physically, but mentally and spiritually, it just wasn't. I knew something was up, and dealing with my experiences, it led me to believe one thing, that he was possessed.
Desperate to help, John and Laura decide to voice their concerns.
I didn't start to think it was paranormal until John and I sat down and discussed it. I believed that something had come home with him. I had no idea what to do to help him. I was desperate.
Hey, what's going on?
What happened to you when you went back home?
You haven't been acting like yourself. Caleb, sometimes I'm scared of you.
Scared of me? Why?
I think something followed you from New York. It's latched onto you, and I think it's the reason for the way you're acting and the things that are happening.
Since his own experience with a demon, John has learned to free others from possession.
I want to perform a deliverance on you. To break the attachment of this evil and to rid you of it once and for all.
Okay, let's do it.
I was open to breaking this attachment of this thing and getting rid of it.
At that point, I just said, I have to do something now before this gets out of hand. It's just going to get worse from here.
John employs specific prayers to command the demonic entity to leave Caleb's body.
By the power of his cross, his blood, and his resurrection, I bind you, Satan, the spirits, powers, and forces of darkness, netherworld, and the evil forces of nature. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ of Nazareth, by the power of his cross.
The spiritual warfare prayer is used when you're going to battle the demonic entities. It's calling upon God to send down his angels and be your protection and fight for you.
It was overwhelming. I was put into a haze. I only remember bits and pieces here and there of things. Everything just seemed like a blur.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
And at this point, I started becoming fearful. It's stirred up, it's out. You know, I've got to do this. Otherwise, things are going to get really, really bad.
Get out of here, Laura. Go!
John told me to leave because Caleb had threatened him and he didn't want me to get hurt. I was terrified. I was afraid that something bad was going to happen.
In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ of Nazareth, by the power of his blood, his cross, and his resurrection, I bind you, Satan, the spirits, the netherworld, and the evil forces of nature. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
An ancient Egyptian god named Sobek has possessed Caleb Weaver, taking control of his body and mind.
And the evil forces of nature.
Caleb's friend John attempts to perform a deliverance to free him from this evil.
You don't want to do that!
It freaked me out, but I didn't want this entity to know that it scared me. If you show fear, it can just take you over. It will completely devour you.
And the evil forces of
John, this is me. You gotta stop or someone's gonna die.
Is Caleb all right?
This thing is too powerful. I need help.
I've never experienced strength like this. It was a supernatural strength that could not have come from a human being.
John admits defeat and calls in the only man he knows who can help, his mentor. Bill Bean is an ordained deliverance minister who specializes in freeing those possessed by the supernatural. He saved John once, and now he is here to save Caleb.
Caleb was under demonic possession. Caleb was exposed to something in his early childhood years. Some sort of doorway was opened, somehow, some way, for these demonic forces to come onto him.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
As a safety measure, Bill restrains Caleb.
My biggest fears were that Caleb could possibly die from this or kill one of us.
After we handcuffed him and put him in the chair, it was like a light switch. It was total night and day.
Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High rests in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, you are my refuge. Surely he will save you. You will not be afraid of the darkness.
Caleb's facial features were actually changing. This demon inside of him had this sinister grin.
You will not fear pestilence that stalks in the darkness, that destroys in midday. By the mighty power of the mighty name of Yahweh, I cast you out and command you to leave.
I literally felt the demon leaving him through his mouth, and he was delivered right then and there.
I knew it was out of me. I felt lighter. I felt peaceful. I remember just breaking down and crying. I felt that intense feeling of relief when you wake out of the world's most horrible dream.
When I looked into his eyes, I actually saw Caleb. I wasn't afraid of him anymore.
In April 2014, Caleb and Laura marry.
The fact that we survived this, I know that we're going to be together for the rest of our lives. If a possession did not tear us apart, that there's nothing in this world that can tear Caleb and I apart.
Since the final deliverance, Caleb no longer fears his tormentor.
I don't have anything to be afraid of anymore, and that's an incredibly powerful feeling. But I feel like I'm always going to have some type of connection with this ancient Egyptian deity. There's nothing I can say to make anybody believe. It's your own little hell on earth. I don't wish anyone to go through it, but I know it's real. I know it's not real. And I'm not alone.